It's Snoqualmie is really known for very, very natural product. You know, we not put most of our effort into what goes on in the vineyards, and really to get the fruit source right and then the fruit right as it grows, and bring that in and try not to mess it up in winemaking. It really comes back to just presenting that natural varietal fruit impression and a little bit about the terroir, or the sense of place that those grapes are grown, and really trying to capture that in the bottle. And I think that's how we differ a bit from our sister wineries, is that our emphasis is just on the grape and presenting that. And then, of course, the naked line fits into that natural aspect real well, because it's sort of the next step to go with organically grown fruit. And those impressions, we hope, are even bolder and more pure, more natural. So that fits very, very well with our program as well. And those have been just doing, it's amazing how people have gotten on board with organic segment at all, but the organically grown wines have really been taking off. I think probably the key is, again, finding those great fruit sources, and some of my favorites are up on the Wild Oak Slope, a little warmer growing region for Washington, and Rosebud Vineyards is one of our key vineyards, and most of the reserve program comes out of those vineyards. We do select a few other little choice places as well, but I think, again, it does get back to that location of the vineyard and where you can get the best ripe fruit impressions and that are most varietally correct. There's several small vineyards in the valley too. Olson Brothers is one that I find a lot of very nice fruit, and we'll take a fair amount of things for the Rieslings and the Nakeds off of the Horse Heavens too. So quite a variety of different areas, but really looking for those fruit sources that can give us the best impact on the fruit quality and the impressions that those varieties impart.
Do you have to fight it all with the other winemakers for certain fruit sources, or is it kind of laid out for you?
No, on occasion we have to fight. You know, it's not like it used to be, where we really did have some knockdown dragouts. There's so much more fruit available than there was even 6 years ago, 7 years ago. There's so many new plantings of really premium fruit. It really does probably show you just the progress that we've taken as viticulturists too, in learning where to plant things and how to grow them. Where 7-10 years ago we were fighting over certain sources. Now we have other sources that are better even than some of those original sources, because we've just learned that much more on how to produce them. So I'd say there's still some things that we have a little discourse over, but for the most part there's enough fruit where there's enough really good fruit too.
Tell me the difference between sometimes you have the naked and sometimes the nearly naked.
We've kept the nearly classification for things that might be going through certification and haven't been certified yet. Vineyards that are transitional, we may be making wines out of, even though we don't have the certification yet from the USDA. Then we might call it nearly naked, because we're doing organic practices on it, but we don't have the certification yet. We've also reserved that label for things, for instance, last year the nearly naked Gewürztraminer was labeled nearly because we had to use some yeast nutrients which aren't approved as part of the organic program. So it's always quality first. If we can't put out the quality product, we won't put out product. We're not going to put out organic just to be organic. It's going to be quality first.
Right.
So in order to make the very best Gewürztraminer in that vintage, I did use yeast nutrients, and therefore we couldn't get it certified.
How many different bottlings of Riesling are you doing?
We have the Winemaker Select, and we have the Naked Riesling, and that's it right now.
With your company, there's a lot of emphasis on Riesling, especially with Saint Michel.
Yep.
But how much are you producing?
We are producing about, with both of those, with the Naked and the Winemaker Select, Probably about 40,000 cases.
So a fair amount.
So it's a fair chunk of what we do.
Kind of a drop in the bucket compared with Woodinville, but
Yeah, we're not in those million numbers.
How long have you been in this location in Prosser?
This location was, we remodeled this formerly juice plant in 2002. So we had our first harvest here in the fall of 2002.
It's got to feel good to have your own place then.
Finally, yeah. Ted Vasler always calls us the little vagabond winery because we were making wines at so many of the different sister wineries for so long. It's nice to have our own place and a retail outlet again, so definitely.
And has that been good for the consumer to be able to stop by here?
I think so. I think it's been real positive. We've been fairly impressed with the flow we do get through here.
And the new label that you guys have had the last couple of years, kind of the farm scenes, is that more indicative of the location here in Prosser?
Most definitely, and it gets back to that same concept of the natural product that we produce. We want to have also that impression of the hometown. It's homegrown. It's close to the source. All of those things that come into that concept of green. You want to have your transportation as close to you as possible. You want to make your ecological footprint as low as possible. So the more things that you can do in the community that you're in, the better for the environment and for the wines, I think, too. So that's all part of it. But those new labels do reflect that hometown, rural aspect of our business.